Hello everyone again and welcome. So today we are going to be continuing with our arrow lessons. I did post homework assignment. Please try to do that homework as assignment as you can. It is a good way of learning. So today we are going to be continuing with data frames and data types. We have already seen the different data types, like when we are doing, like when we have numeric data, we know that we have to do calculate like the mean. We can do box plot. When we have categorical data, we cannot calculate the mean, and we cannot do box plot with numeric with categorical data. What we can do with categorical data, like plot bar chart, we can also do like tables and calculate proportions and so on. So in any programming language, we have what we call data types. Data types are just like what most of the variables we have been defining they can take. So in any programming, we already saw the numeric data type, we already saw the categorical data types. We also have like integers. I will see data types like in regular mathematics as like different types of numbers, something like that, that variables can take. Remember, a variable is just like a placeholder that we can assign any object to. So for numeric data, we have seen it. Logical data types is something like we have true or false. We can also have like character, which could be in form of a text. We can see like complex numbers. We have seen those if we have done mathematics, and then also raw data, which hold those who have done electronics is something like holding data in terms of raw bytes or something like that. Let's say we have been seeing this. If I want to assign something to like a numeric data, I can just say assign this 6 to x. Also, if I want something like a character is we have to use this. Let me just say Cameroon. For character variables, you must put them in form of like a text. You have put them in this quote. And also we can use what we call the Boolean data type or logical, which could be something in R we call true or what false. Now, if you want for any data set you're running, no, let me try to spell Cameroon where, yeah, for any data set you're using, you can also always view, the class of that data type. Say, well, for example, if I want to know what class X is, like knowing the data type, I can just do class of X. Also, I can do class of Y. I can do class of Z just to see. If I run this, and then we're gonna see it's saying here that this one is like what a numeric data type. And also, if I run Y, it will tell me that it is what a character data type. If I run Z in form of a class, it is going to tell me that it is what it is something like a logical data type. Also, we have seen numbers like we have seen vectors, what vectors are when we started this class early. So we already know how we can define a vector, which is an easy way. If we have multiple numbers for a particular variable, we can use C to define that vector, like 6, 9, and 12. If I want to see, 16, it doesn't matter. If I want to see the class, that's the data type for these numbers, I can just do class numbers, and then first of all run this, and then I run this. You see that it is all made up of what numeric. That vector is made up of a data type, which are what numbers, which makes sense. And also we can try this. Let me say something like all together. Let me just say LT. I assign something like, in this case it's a vector, but I'm going to assign our X, Y, and Z to it that we already had up there, and let's see what we can get all together. So if I do the class of all those numbers that I ran, and all underscore 2, let's see what we get right down here. You see that it is saying that everything here is in form of what or their characters. So we have to be careful the way we deal with this kind of number types and so on. So also we also have what we call in most of the data we have been seeing, whether it's the mslib from the ggplot library, Those ones we call them, they are like data frames. We will see this a lot because most tables in R or data is mostly in form of tables, and those tables could be like spreadsheet-like tables, which could be in form of rows and what columns. So we already saw how we can, we can create. I already saw when we started this, we were creating some, creating vectors where we could have like age. That age we had 48, 47, we had 71, we had 28. Doesn't matter. Let me say 22, and then 22, 80. I'm done with that. Let me try something like the purchases that they can do. Purchased. Purchased. It's another vector where I have 20, 59 to 12. I have to make sure that the lengths are the same. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 12, and I have 22. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 22, and 160. So we already saw this. I can do, if I want to do like a bookstore, we saw this bookstore. I can do data.frame. I need a data frame of what? Age and the purchase. Yeah, this is purchase well. And an E, so an E here. I can run this, run. We already have a data frame. Let's say if I want to view that data frame just to see what we have. If I do view, and I pass book store, let's see what happens. You see, when I click on view, it opens up like in another tab from this arrow for us to view that. This is like more like an Excel sheet that we know if you use the view option. Also, we know that we have been using the mslip data. If I need it, I need to call the ggplot2 library, run it before I can use that data set. If I do view of that mslip data, we should also view this in form of what, like we see it's in form of an Excel sheet that we have missing values here. That is another way we can view this rather than just doing the head we have been seeing. So also we can have data types. One thing you have to notice as we move on to machine learning, some machine learning algorithms can take data in form of this data frame. Some will take it in form of what, like matrices and so on. Some will take it in form of an enhanced tuple, or maybe so we have to know how to deal with this pretty well. Another data type that comes with R a lot, I will just do question mark. I'll say air quality. That is another data set we can you just start typing, and you can read more about the air quality data here. It's just like a New York air quality measures, which is made up of the ozone layer, which has like numeric data and so on. So there are different ways we can deal with this data. Maybe if I want to look at just the class, to see if I do class of air quality, let's see what we get. It's a data set that comes with R. You see, it's telling you that what it is a data frame, which makes sense, because if I even want to see, like just do view here, it will tell me air quality. If I view that, it should be in form of a data frame which is made up of those rows and columns, as we can see like an Excel sheet. So it's always good we know the kind of data we are working with, what we have, and before we can we can start doing our manipulation. Also, there is another data, I think, like let me see, another data we call it. And for this air quality data, you see that it's in form of a data frame. But what if I decide to do air quality in form of a matrix? Let's assign a matrix. If I want to convert that data in form of a matrix, I'll just do dot what matrix. Just pass in what that air quality. Air quality Let me run this, and then let's do a view. Oh no, let's just do class. Remember the name I use here is not, I'll just do cure arrow quality mad. Yeah, let me run it. You see that it's showing that it is what, a matrix, which is like a matrix. Remember, a matrix is just like an array, which is like we can have 2 by 3, 5 by 5, and so on. So most of the times we are going to use data frames a lot, because we can get the dimension of a matrix. We know that a matrix is like n columns, n rows, but matrices are limited because they cannot take some certain, when the number of rows and columns start increasing, putting data in form of a matrix becomes a problem. So that is why most of the times we are going to be working more with data frames as we move on. And more of the data that we are going to see in real world will be more like in form of a data frame. So one thing we have to note is that when we have a data frame, if we are extracting columns, remember the columns in that data frame, like each of these data frame, each of these columns that we have here is just like what we have been seeing, like what, a vector. So if I want to extract any of this, it will be in form of a vector. Let's say if I just want to go to that air quality data, air quality, and I do something like I just want to extract the temperature, and I run this, you're going to see that this is more like a vector that we'll be having. And if I want to confirm that, I can do a class of let me just assign this to some variable. Let me say temp, and then I run this, and then I do temp. You see that it's more like just like an integer, which is like a vector that is made up of what, just these numbers, which makes sense. So here we can compute the mean of this temperature and so on. If we want to just get the mean, as we move on, we are going to see more like different ways we can compute the mean for temperature in an aggregated manner, which we are going to call them like pipes and so on. And this is it for this class today. Tomorrow we are going to still continue with vectors on how we can extract these columns using just basic numbers and so on. Thank you so much, guys, and keep following for more. Bye.